What's good with the YouTube? You already know. Real Talk with Flacco coming live and direct. And on this platform, what do? We dive into sensitive issues, delicate matters concerning prison, gangs, community, recidivism, as well as addiction. And as you can tell by the thumbnail, man, we're going to get straight to it, man. We're going to talk about a time, man, when I was out there very much fully functioning, man. Young in my career, almost caught slipping. I've discussed previously on ACP, but this was a long time ago, man. So I figured maybe I'll elaborate on this channel because we got a whole new subscriber base over here. So around 2001, right? Operation Black Widow had occurred. I was out there. I was working directly under Robert Chico Rose. Once that happened, it was very chaotic for like the first week or two. Who to plug into, what to do. You know, I was young in my career, man, and I was a soldier that just followed suit, followed orders, and did what was ever expected. But I'd already started to build up a very huge clientele, was generating a lot of income. And so I started plugging into the two brothers that were out there out there in the streets, never been on parole, nothing. They were previously working with Goose and Chico. And the Goose I'm talking about is Romero Garcia, also known as Ray Garcia. And he got hemmed up right before I got out. I know Goose from back in the 90s, very stern dude, but I didn't get a chance to function with him out there in the streets. So as I'm out there, man, we're doing our thing, obtaining work from those that are plugged in with brass over there, which they were in Oakland at the time. And you know, in addition to that, you know, there's two individuals that were very instrumental in keeping the San Jose region, you know, afloat. And that was Black Steve Gutierrez from 12th Street, also known as Prieto, and of course the rapper Gato Mas Loco. Okay, so you guys already know that there were some issues later on with Gato. I'm not going to keep on mentioning it because, you know, he's still out there doing his thing, but, you know, pretty much everybody knows a lot of things that have happened throughout his career, even after I was no longer active. Anyway, so Black Steve, me and him go way back to the Boys Ranch. You know what I'm saying? We used to kind of like, he used to always try to talk shit, and I talk shit back to him, so I think he took a liking to me. And I ended up running into him when I got out at Eastridge, and he was with another brother right there. You know, I could tell because he had a star. And see, the thing was about me back then is I was young in my career, so people didn't know who I was or anything about me. So later on, I ended up hooking up with that brother through Chico. And next you know, I'm hooked up with Black Steve as well. And little did they know that I'd been functioning, working parallel under Chico for a minute. You know what I'm saying? I was very discreet. So, you know, Black Steve always been balling and hustling and all that, man. I mean, me and him had the type of rapport where we'd borrow each other's cars, we'd switch off, all kinds of stuff like that, man. Come through, you know what I mean? Like anything needed, you know what I'm saying? We'd be there for each other. And, you know, it was kind of bad how the O ended up taking care of him afterwards. You know, if anybody knows about that, you know what I'm saying, they ended up kind of doing him wrong. So, he would sometimes come over, I'd take his Cadillac, or his Impala, he'd take my car to go visit the guys in Oakland. So one day we had to go take care of some business, and he asked me to go with him. And it was to go out there to Salinas, okay, to go see an individual named Michael Lope. Now, Michael Lope is an old-time homeboy from out there. He's probably in his 60s by now, man. He's part Filipino, part Mexican. You know what I mean? I met him a couple times because he was talking to us about the dude that was over there at his pad. And this is at a time when Salinas was kind of in a little bit of disarray. This is right before Boxer had got out. Or maybe Boxer did get out around this time. But somewhere around that time era. And there was a particular individual that somehow was staying over there at his pad that he did not know the details about, but found out later, which was an individual named Corey Lopez, a.k.a. Shadow. Okay, so I heard about this dude because he was a name that was put on the list recently. You know what I mean? That he was to get got. You know what I'm saying? There was allegations of him pushing the New Flowers. There was allegations that he was shooting at active homeboys. I think he was running around with Pablo out there in Salinas. So he was out there doing his thing, man. And people said at first when he was in the prison system, they didn't see those type of actions from him as far as being with the shit. Eventually, he became a shooter out there on the streets. And so, very light-skinned vato. You know what I mean? You look at him, you really wouldn't take him as a threat. I'd never seen him before. And so, as we're going over there, I tell Black Steve, I said, bro, you got that thing? You know what I mean? I go, because, you know what I mean, if we're going anywhere like that, out of the area, potential dude that's a priority targets out there that is known to shoot at active homeboys, make sure you bring that, bro. Otherwise, I'm not going, right? So what ended up happening was this, right? We go out there, and somehow we're waiting in front of his house out there in Salinas. And at the corner of my eye, I see a figure. You know what I'm saying? Walk up to me, walk up to my driver's side window. I have my window down, and it's just basically on top of me. Bam. Hits us up and looks at us like this, and he has a fucking pistol in his hand. Asks us who we are, where we're from, what we're doing. I tell him who I am, and luckily for me, my reputation out there in the streets wasn't really known that yet, or in the system. You know what I'm saying? I look like just some little weddle that's just hanging out with the homeboys probably, or just some, you know what I mean? That's probably how he interpreted it. But, so he's looking, and he's really like cautious, man. He's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I still remember to this day, he had that banger right there. I got nothing. I'm just caught slipping. Only thing I could do is play my cool. As homeboy leaves, he goes, all right. And he leaves. I asked the homeboy, I go pass him the thing. Where's the thing at? Because I was just going to grab it. We're about to have a shootout right there. Fuck it. Homeboy says I didn't bring it. I was like, oh my fucking God. First of all, we should have had that motherfucker out as soon as we got into the street, which was my fault slipping and his fault, right? Number two, he didn't even bring it. So we decided to abort mission from there and stuff, right? And I'm like, man, bro, like, I know Black C's a good fucking dude. He ain't no punk. He'll get with that action. He'll make that money. And if you know him, he'll give the shirt off his back, even if he only has fucking no clothes for himself. That's the kind of vato he was. So now we were not only going to Salas, we were going out there to Merced. We had to go to the rapper Never's house, which was an apartment. You know what I'm saying? I only met Never twice. One was at his apartment when he lived by the railroads, when me and Black Steve went out there. And the other one was at the concert that they had in San Juan Bautista. When this was fucking comical. I'll tell that story in a minute, man. But that was an interesting one, guys. So anyway, so as we're going through, you know, Paso Robles, Pacheco Pass and all that, right? You know, fucking homeboy was venting to me about how sorry he was and whatnot, man. Like, I'm not going to go too much into the details, man, but he was real remorseful, man. And, you know, I forgave him. You know what I'm saying? Luckily, there's no damage done, but I told him, like, oh, bro, if we're going to do any type of situations like this, any type of scenario, we got to bring that banger. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't put me in harm's way. I will never put you in danger, bro. I go, security comes foremost. I go, we were slipping from the gate, coming down without the cuete. I go, and we didn't even do a preliminary check. Because when we used to go in to do certain business dealings, we always would scout the area a little bit first. We'd always show up a little bit earlier, just to make sure that there ain't no, you know what I'm saying, law enforcement in place, or make sure there's not a deceptive tactic by some people trying to do a jack move. And we didn't do none of that because we were in a rush. And so we ended up at Never's house, we pick up whatever money's owed, and we smash off, man. And, you know, I won't ever forget how compassionate he was as far as, like, as a person. You know, as much of the shit as we were involved in at that time, it just humanized him a little bit, man. That's what people tend to forget. Even when we're living out there in the trenches, we're out there in the streets and whatnot, sometimes we need to humanize our actions and realize that we're human. That sometimes we think that we have to live up to a certain image. And I went through that for years, you know what I mean? You know, that was one of the very most serious times where I almost got caught slipping. You know, I've been shot at before. I've been stabbed. I've had all that happen. But to the point where someone is fucking on my door with a cuete, who's a known, either recognized as a new flower or associated with other dropouts out there in the streets. You know, he ended up getting killed, or I'm not sure if he got killed or he died shortly after. But he was one of the ones that was out there like, you want me, come get me. You know, and to be doing that in Salinas says a lot. And you look at him, you wouldn't even think he was no fucking shooter or no hitter. He looked like some just fucking square-ass dude, white dude, kind of like. He looked white and Hispanic a little bit, but you just wouldn't think of him as, you know what I'm saying? He kind of reminded me of how Powder looked, to be honest with you. They kind of looked alike. You know, Powder's a little dude like that. And, you know, that's what comes with that lifestyle, man. You know, people forget that sometimes you think you're on top of your game, that you're running shit. You could be out there in the strongest stronghold, right? And be running the operations out there, running the criminal activities, running your hood. But there's always those people out there that are cutthroat and treacherous that do not give a fuck what you're about, man. And that's what the streets are really about. We always think about the scenarios where the numbers are in our favor or we're running shit or whatnot. But we never think about those scenarios when, regardless of that, your status, your recognition, that there's those out there that just don't give a fuck. They're just as quick to peel your cap because they don't look at you as, your status, NR, NF, or whatever it may be. They look at you as a fucking enemy. They're ready to peel your fucking cap. And so sometimes homeboys get this fixation in their head that they're invincible, and you got to always have your level of security. And if you're going to be involved in the mix, these are the type of situations that are going to happen. I don't give a fuck how many homeboys or whatnot, that are rocking with you, how much authority you have. If someone catches you man to man, you can get got at any moment, anytime. Now, other than that, I really, throughout my tenure as active, I didn't really run into any other scenarios like that. I used to always emphasize security as foremost, man. Like, perimeter checks and whatnot. Like, I gone out there to go see Powder, like, shortly after, man. And when I'd have to go see him, he would literally meet me at one spot. And then from one spot, we'd go fucking for like about 10 miles. Off the freeway, on the freeway, back on. And the next thing you know, we'd be at a pick and pull in Castroville. I swear to God. I was doing some I was doing some business with him when they were kind of incommunicado with brass. I was plugged in, but he wasn't at that time because they thought he was MIA. But it wasn't my position to really, involve myself in whoever he was reporting to, because we got in contact based upon Wino Zarowski, because Powder plugged in with Wino when he got out, because I think for a minute him and Carlitos were cellies. So yeah, so he had his program fucking tight to where he had a dude meet me at a spot. I'd already predestined it and showed him where we're gonna meet, which was by North County High School, in Castroville. They bought those little track houses that were fucking everybody moved into. Castroville Police Department never went up in there. It was just basically all bices in there. I had family up in there back in the days. So we had a location, we'll meet here at this time, and they would always be there. And one time, one of them said, man, can you get something like different? And I told Powder when I seen him, Powder fucking already demoted. Powder instantly demoted him and fucking took him out of position and DP'd him for that and fined him. Just for talking to me. No one was even supposed to talk to me. That's how much of a program he ran. But other than that, like I said, man, there's been times like where I wasn't out there with the functions, younger or afterwards, where yeah, I came into some situations where it got very hectic, man. But other than that, there really wasn't no issues, just based upon the fact of who I aligned with and what I represented. Same thing happened in the concert in San Juan Bautista. I think this was in 2001. You know what I mean? A scenario happened to where we went over there. Lowdown was throwing a concert. This is like the second time I met Never. There was a Africano there that was throwing the show. I think he was a Blood. Now, the thing that was interesting about this is we invited the homeboy from Salinas, me and the homeboy Chino, the homeboy Chops, Gabe. And he brought some cats from Seaside that were Crips. And these dudes were Bloods in there and shit, so they were already tripping. We had the homeboy Sal from Mountain View. And what ended up happening, man, that motherfucker was ahead of his time. He already had that bass swag to him. Like, before anybody was talking like that, he was already talking like that. So he starts breaking off these cats in dice. That was his thing. He used to like to gamble. And the dude, the Africano, I guess, that was throwing that concert from for Lowdown, I guess he was from Hollister. It was a black dude. Tried to tell him that he had to leave. And so next thing you know, homeboy fucking slapped the camera out the fucking hand. You know what I'm saying? Fucking, I remember fucking the homeboy Chops was fucking, he's like, oh shit, it's gonna kick off. Hey, them Seaside Crips, I don't know, I forgot their names, they were fucking solid. They were ready to rock with us, bro. And so you have the other homeboy Chino like this, going like this, stopping the shit, telling homeboy Sal to shut the fuck up, because Sal was like, man, come on, motherfuckers, like telling these dudes. And here comes me, I get involved in the shit too, and next thing you know, we diffused it, and we ended up staying. So basically, they were kind of intimidated by the homeboy because of, he was breaking his cats off, bro. You know what I'm saying? He just had a whole different lingo to him. And, they didn't realize that those that were there, that we were there on behalf of the regiment at that time in San Jose. That's what we represented. Because this was like 2001, about 3 months after Black Widow. You know what I'm saying? Man, though, man. And then that's when we got it, ended up talking to Never. We walked to his car, Never started breaking us off and shit. And he remembered me from fucking me and Black Steve. And we were trying to fucking establish more contacts at that time. Because at that time, I think we had, like one of the homeboys was plugged in with, you know, Toxtero and Madera and little Tiny Lokes from Merced and all them cats, man. So, you know, it was all a network game. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, there was really no issues out there that I ever had on the streets during that time era. I think based upon the fact that by then people already knew who I was, they would know the consequences. The only other time was, I did this spiel before, was when Casper from Capitol Park kicked off that melee at that Halloween party. And I was with Huicho from Sajo. And I ended up getting that Chuco and he ended up deeming no good over that. Other than that, we didn't have no incidents out there, man. You know, just some shady transactions here and there, man. But other than that, man, everything was on the up and up. You know, I was always good at getting at people. So that's one of the things I used to do, is I used to establish resources, or if there was an issue, I would always be the one on the forefront addressing it, because I had the verbal skills. And I already knew I had the backing of the mob behind me in whatever I did. So it kind of made it a little bit simpler, you know, going into those scenarios with a lot of confidence, man. But the reality of it is that, you know, from my experience, there's always going to be those out there that ain't going to give a fuck about who you are, man. And people got to realize that. Don't get too cocky. Don't get too confident that you're just a homeboy out there and you're in the stronghold area. Because there's those out there that are with those functions that are active as fuck. Not active as far as fucking status-wise, but active with the functions, if you know what I'm getting at. And you got to be cautious, you know. I've seen a lot of individuals have long careers, and fortunately for them, they were able to slip through the cracks. They, you know, were able to hide in the shadows when shit was cracking off, and they never ever, you know, accumulated the track record of putting in work, but they were still good. And then when push comes to shove, they're put in those positions. After 10, 15 years, the first call up on them, fucking lay it down. So people need to analyze their thoughts and what they want from life. If you want to live that life, I'm not going to detour you from doing it. Just know what you're getting into and go full force. And look at things in real terms. Don't look at them through any cloudy lenses, because you won't see the whole picture. Anyways, it's your boy Flacco. Real Talk with Flacco, Convicts Perspective. I'm out.